Whenever you're.
Any concerns about Liverpool? Like to see them winning by more goals, or just, as long as they're winning, that's all that.
As long as they're winning. Yeah.
That last minute goal.
Yeah, that's been the entire season for us this season.
Is it that's like the difference in the sport, right? One team's going to be lucky enough to get that break, but you make your own breaks.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Let's get going.
Hi, Rich.
Hello.
What's this week been like, coming off of 2 road wins and coming up on a really tough opponent?
It's been good. We've definitely, seen the guys stay really focused, which was important. We know we had 2 wins, we had 2 good performances, 2 good results away from home, but we wanted to remain in a position where we stay really focused, because we know we have a big game this weekend back at home against LAFC. So the week's been good. We've prepared well physically in our first 2 days, and then today we just kind of started to introduce some tactical stuff that we want to focus on for the game. So it's been a good week by the lads.
Kessler and Durkin weren't out there. What's their situation?
Just monitoring them right now. Both are expected to return back to training tomorrow. Hopefully both will be available for selection for Saturday.
Are you a strong believer in that you make your own breaks and that things have changed for you guys?
Yeah, I believe the harder you work, the luckier you get. I know that's always a quote that I try to live my life by. These guys work hard every single week. They've worked hard now they work hard every week since I've stepped into this job. But what we're starting to see now is all of that, whether it's a trend, a habit, a behavior, all of those words are used. You're starting to see them be really now utilized in the games as well. So they've put themselves in a position where they fully deserve the results that they've been getting lately, these guys, because they've been working extremely hard every week now for many, many weeks.
And just turning back on thinking about Kessler and Durkin, at this point of the year, as we go into week 32, at this point, how much work do those guys actually need out there? Just you got to keep guys fresh, but they've been working for 8 months now.
Yeah, you need to keep your body in a rhythm of stress, throughout the week to make sure that you're fully prepared. But where we're at now in the season, as you'd mentioned, is we've now definitely increased our fitness. So when I stepped in probably 3.5 months ago, our training intensity increased a lot. We're now seeing the benefits behind that. We're seeing these guys, when I get physical reports given back to me, they're always very high in all the categories. They're a very fit team. You can just see it with the eye now. You don't even really need to look at the data. So we're definitely fit enough to last a 90-minute game with good intensity. So once you've got a group that is able to do that, it's about trying to keep them fresh and keep them as sharp. We went on the East Coast 2 weeks ago. We were on the West Coast last week. We got home at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. So we need to try and keep the guys fresh for Saturday. So different guys had different individual plans, but it's all based around getting them prepared for Saturday.
Justin.
Coach, looking ahead to LAFC, and I know we talked on Tuesday about their attacking success this week, but for you, not to give away the game plan, but what does your defensive stability need to be like in order to really limit their chances and limit their opportunities this weekend?
I think the biggest one is you've got to recognize the moments very, very quick. They have technical players, explosive players, high quality players in their front 2. So we need to be very aware of the moments and recognize them early. And then for the guys, it's the details that have made them successful lately. The ability to forward defend in some actions and strip them of the ball very early. The counter pressing from the higher players up the field to not let those guys have time and space to find an easy pass out. And then it's just from there communicating and reading moments. We've talked about communication in our team for a couple of weeks now and making sure that we're always alert, we're always focused. So there'll be key behaviors I'm looking for this weekend against these guys, but we can't be in a position where we let them get comfortable and get them settled into the game very early. We have to be aggressive. That's probably the biggest word I've used with these guys against the ball, is make sure you're very aggressive.
And does that play into some of the competition on right wing and left wing this weekend as well?
For us specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a couple of different lineups we've looked at, a couple of different, again, relationships in what we want to try and expose them in. I have a very clear idea on how they're going to set themselves up as well. Won't give anything away. But now it's finding positions in them roles that I'm looking for tactically.
How tough is that conversation with, say, Brendan McSorley? If Songbin gives you something that McSorley doesn't, and he had the game he had last weekend, like how tough are those conversations and just managing expectations?
They're never easy. I think they're never easy because I care about every single player. And I know if I give them that information, I'm going to disappoint them. But that's part of the job. That's part of the job I've signed up for. So I think I've said this a few times. I want difficult decisions on Friday afternoon. I don't want to let people down, but I want to have to let people down because it shows me we have a healthy roster where everybody's competing. And then they're all professionals. They all know they could be upset with me in the moment. They shake it off. Most of them shake it off very well, allowed to not affect their... maybe what I'm looking for, maybe if they're not a starter, is how do they help the locker room? How do they help with the culture on the weekend, create a nice, high, exciting environment? A lot of guys do a fantastic job at that in this team. So, yeah, it's hard. I never want to disappoint the players, but it's a position that every coach wants to be in.
Tom, then Jen.
Coach, anybody who looks at it sees this as a different team than the job you walked into. What were the first things you saw? We got to change these things first.
It's a good question. I think the first one was coming off 16 games. I think the team scored 11 goals. So the first objective was to make this team an attacking threat. I believe we're on around 28, 29 goals now since I've stepped in. So we've ticked that box. So then I started to look at, okay, how can we've scored a lot of goals, but we've still lost games because we've conceded probably far too many. So we started to focus on now the defensive side. What players can I put in positions and how do we behave to limit opportunities from the other team? We're getting better at that as well. So it was ticking the first box with the attacking threat of this team and making sure we create more chances, score more goals. Then from there, it was identifying, okay, how do we, solidify the defensive side of the game? How do we make sure we're more compact, aggressive? We're doing a really good job at that. All while you have to change things as well, like the mentality of players, making them believe in themselves, making them know that they can walk into any single situation and win a football game. So you have the cultural piece on top of that. So probably they were three of the biggest areas that I tried to impact this group with.
And how long did it take you to achieve the first of those goals?
I think we started scoring goals right away. We're not, even though we're getting closer to everyone, we haven't ticked any of those boxes. We still have so much more to get better at as a team. And that's something that excites me a lot because I see a lot of growth from a lot of these guys individually. The team has got so much better over the last half the season. But for my standards and expectations, we're still not near the level I want us to be at. So it's an ongoing process. It always is. I think even if we were first in the conference right now, I'd still find areas to get better at as well. So that's just my mentality.
We'll go to Jen to wrap up with Tom.
Coach, you mentioned that you could have several different lineups, right, for the next game. And the player to my right here, Conrad Wallem, is somebody I wouldn't be surprised if you said in each lineup he could be in a different position. He's so versatile. Mm-hmm. Conrad and I talked last week or 2 weeks ago about being versatile, but also the benefit that consistency in a position brings. How do you balance that with somebody like Conrad or your other versatile players with maybe the team needs you somewhere, but consistency at a position helps you be a better player? How do you work with that?
I think it's the biggest compliment I give players that I call them versatile is the shows they just have a good game understanding in general of how the game works and what it looks like. So Conrad's a great example of that. He knows how to play in multiple positions because he sees the game so clearly in his head. But we did sit down several weeks ago now and we said, hey, within this, we want to make sure that we can find consistency with your behaviors and how you act as well. We felt like in the system that we have and the players we have around him, fullback was a good position for him. So he's done a great job of locking that down. He's a very good defensive 1v1 player. Obviously, as of late, we've seen him provide assists, goals. So he's good on the attacking side. So like most things, it's never a certain answer. It's never, you only want to play in one position and make sure he's really consistent. And I wouldn't want Conrad to come in every Friday afternoon ask me, where am I playing for you this weekend, coach? So you just try to find a balance. Yeah.
Tom?
You have always advocated for the 4-2-3-1. Any chance you tinker with that this week?
You might see us in a couple of different shapes this game specifically. I always call that like our systematic approach. Like that's the base formation that we play in. But I try to find, I always call it for these guys the 1%ers or the small margins. I try to find the little details in a game where we can be successful. So there might be games where if you froze your television and we had the ball, you might be like, that's not a back four, that's a back three or a back five. And for me, it's just always trying to help the players tactically with different shapes and how we can hurt the opponent. Sometimes that means players, navigating away from them normal areas that you might see them in. So I've got one or two up my sleeve for this weekend, but nothing I'm willing to share right now.
And just talk about Marcel Hartel's season as a whole. I mean, he's played almost every minute. He's helped in so many ways. What is his? What's his biggest contribution? What does he bring to this team that stands out the most to you?
I think the one thing is when the ball's always around Marcel, there's going to be something that he's either going to connect his pass and keep the ball possession for us, or he's going to find a very good moment and a special moment as a player. So even last week with his goal, that's a ball that McSorley does a good job knocking it down. It's something that he created out of nothing. Not many players are going to score a goal with the back to goal, with the weak foot as well. So you always want to expect something special from him in them moments. So a good attacking player is something that he always brings. But what Marcel's done a great job of lately, which I have to give him a shout out for, is his defensive mentality, intensity as of late. I remember vividly the Montreal game. Minute 80, everyone's fatiguing. We're all tired because we've put in a lot of energy. But he's running around the field trying so hard for this team to keep a clean sheet for us against the ball. So he's becoming a more complete footballer now, which I'm very, very excited for. And he continues to help the team in attack with goals and assists. But against the ball, he's putting in such a massive shift for us. And that's helping us with the success we've had in the last 3 games.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
What do you think has been the key to these last 2 wins that you guys have had?
I don't think you can point at one single thing and say that's the key, but I think it's consistency in training hard and trying to develop over time now. And now finally you see we get points out of it. But I think this team has had an upward trend for a long time. We always had our ups and downs, but I think gradually now, during the last 3 months, we have progressed in some way, and now you're starting to see the product also come out in points. And so I don't think you can point out, okay, we are more efficient here, efficient there, but I think it's combined of all the work we have put down, and finally we're getting points out of it as well.
Like the results have finally caught up
Yeah.
with the improved play.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think we've been close a lot of times, and now we're starting to get confidence. The guys in both boxes, we have talked a lot about improving defensively in our box, offensively in their box, and you see now we win our games because we are better than the opposition in both boxes.
How is the team's confidence compared to 2-3 months ago?
Now it's a big difference, of course, because when you lose games, you can say as much as you want as a player that it doesn't affect you. You will work on as much as you can, but in somehow it affects you, the mentality and your confidence. That's as a human being, and I think now you see as a team now. I think if you ask everyone in the roster, even if you're on the bench, if you're not in the squad, if you're playing, doesn't matter. I think everyone feels there is a connection, that everyone thinks that we can beat whoever comes here, wherever we go. So I think the confidence is a massive thing for sure.
Justin.
Conrad, last week on that third goal, 1v1 with your defender for a while, dribbling against him until Marcel eventually opens up for the pass. What was going through your mind in that moment? And were you just buying time, or were you trying to kind of beat him on the
I
dribble?
was trying to cook him, but I told Marcel he ruined my moment. I wanted to do five fake shots more, but no, it ended in a good way. So, yeah, it was. I know wingers don't like to come back and defend, so gotta punish them somehow in that way.
It seems like over the past few weeks, especially as you've kind of returned out to the wide spot, that you have some more comfortability on the ball and just more opportunities to be in the attack. Has this felt like more of what you can bring to the game?
Yeah, I feel I can bring more of myself. I feel less restricted. I feel I can bring my qualities. As a fullback in our system, it's like I can go up as much as I want if I can also make the run back. That's like the main thing for me. If I want to go as much as possible up and help the team in the last third with my qualities there, but I always need to know that I have to have energy to sprint back also to help defensively. So I think it's been a good balance of getting out my strengths in that position for sure.
Jen?
I'm sure you guys have done scouting. Look at LAFC, Songmin, and the combination with Denny Bouanga. They make it hard on wingbacks, on fullbacks. Is that go in? Do you pay attention to those individual players when you know that, or is it just business as usual in your job, doing your best in that? How much does scouting particular players have to do for you?
At this level, you for sure have to take note of opposition's players, because you see, for example, with the LAFC, they have probably two of the best players in the league, and then you need to know that you need to stop that in some way, and with scouting that helps, and we know their strengths, so we just gotta limit them to as few actions as possible where they can get their strengths out. But I think also with them on their side, I think we also can punish them for sure defensively as well.
Tom?
You were speaking about the emergence of the team since Critch has come. For you personally, what do you think has improved for you as a result of his coming to the club?
No, as I've told in many interviews, as Critch also mentioned, that the talk we had to sit down and try to define me a little bit as a player, and in what position we can get my strengths out. And I feel like we really, him and I did a really good job in finding a good position for that. And he's the first coach that I actually sat down to do that. So I told many other guys, I thank him for that, and I think it's gotten my strength out both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively also. So as with the team, I feel good now. I feel I have a good run of games. So it's been really good. And as I said, even when we lost some games with Critch also by conceding a lot of goals, I always thought we had progression, and even though you get some setbacks, the arrow has always pointed in the right direction for me. So with both I and the team, so I think that's a massive thing, to think more about the progression than always the results. Because if you progress and have good performances week in, week out, you will at the end of the day get rewarded. So yeah.
We'll finish with Tom.
So with the offensive threat that LAFC has, so do you have to be cautious about going forward?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'll do both. I'll probably do both. But yeah, for sure, I have to sprint back at least. It's going to be. We know their strengths, and I think we need to try to limit them, as I told before, and we need to be really, really good in the rest defense part of the game, because we know their counterattacks are very, very dangerous. So we need to have numbers up, and we need to do a good job. If that's me, if that's other side fullback, if it's a 6, it doesn't really matter. Just needs to be very cautious when we know their strengths. So that's the main thing. It doesn't really matter who it is. It just needs to be rest defense there for sure.
You're talking about confidence. Is this for you guys the time to play LAFC?
Yeah.
You guys are probably as confident as you've been all season.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't find a better moment. But they will probably say the same also. They have had a couple of good games also. So I think it will be a really fun match. I think you will see two attacking-minded teams and two teams with confidence. So I think as a neutral, it will be a fun game and a fun game to play. These are the matches as a player you want to play also.
Is that Zeus on your right arm or?
Yeah, it's a Greek mythology.
Okay,
Perfect. Conrad, thank you.
just checking. Thank
Yeah, thank you.